Welcome to our wonderful bi-weekly show, and we're going to be covering a lovely piece of work known only as Framing Monsters, Sexual Fantasy Film and Social Alienation by Joshua David Bellin. I'm excited for this. And I have two lovely guests to bring in first. Let me bring in. Hello, welcome. And we have one more guest to bring in so far. Hey. So, yes, Wise Wolf.
We can't do that yet. Hello, Wise Wolf.
Hello. So first, I will read the description on the back of what this book is. Okay. So, Framing Monsters is also a review. Framing Monsters is a significant study of the ideological workings of fantasy films, from classics such as King Kong and Wizard of Oz to contemporary favorites like Jurassic Park and Lord of the Rings. Invested as both fan and academic, Bellin meticulously argues that this genre reinforces structures of alienation relating to race, class, gender, and disability. Rob Oblatham, author of Consuming Youth, Vampires, Cyborgs, and the Culture of Consumerism. That explains a lot. Framing Monsters, Fantasy Film and Social Alienation reconsiders the cultural significance of this storytelling mode by investigating how films seemingly divorced from reality and presented in a context of timelessness are in fact coded with the social practices and beliefs of their era of production.
And of course that's bullshit, because otherwise they would not be considered timeless movies or books.
Yeah. Please tell me what the historical influences on Jurassic Park is, Joshua David Bellin. I'm really excited. Situating representative fantasy films within their cultural moments, Joshua David Bellin illustrates how fantastic visions of monstrous others seek to propagate negative stereotypes of despised groups and support individuous, I didn't know that was a word, I will use it, hierarchies of social control. Framing Monsters not only contests dismissive attitudes towards fantasy, but also challenges the psychoanalytic criticism that has thus far
actually
individuous.
Yeah.
INVIDIOUS. Challenges the psychoanalytic criticism that has thus far dominated its limited critical study. Bellin locates.
What do you think that word means?
Semi-individual, something related to individual.
What was that word again?
Individuous.
Because I'm telling you, it's not what you think it is. Synonyms are abominable, calamitous, defamatory, detestable, detracting, detractive, detractory, discriminatory, envious, envying, green-eyed, jealous. maligning, obnoxious, odious, offensive, repugnant, scandalous, slanderous, slighting, undesirable, and vilifying. And those are all the synonyms on thesaurus.com.
Dang.
Yeah. So they uses one word that sounds like something that it is not. Oy. And this is why word salad is so bad.
Mm-hmm. Allow me to continue.
Yes. Sorry.
Bellin locates King Kong within the era of lynching to evidence how the film protects whiteness against supposed aggressions of a black predator, and reviews The Wizard of Oz as a product of the Depression's economic anxieties.
Well, that's not wrong.
Yeah,
but,
it is. Like, that's the allegory that L. Frank Baum was going for.
Yeah, that's the allegory that they're going for. But it's... Oh, good lord. If someone looks at King Kong and says he reminds me of a black person, they are unironically acting like a racist.
Invidious.
Oh, come on, Wise Wolf, don't leave.
We haven't even started it yet.
Yeah, we haven't even started the introduction.
Yeah.
Is the book open yet?
No, the book is not open yet.
And I already had to look up a word because as soon as I heard that word, I thought, that sounds like a word that I don't know the definition of. It sounds like a different word that I do know the definition of, but I bet it's not. It does not.
It sounds like a word they don't know the definition of.
Well, one of the synonyms is slanderous. It definitely doesn't mean what it sounds like it should mean.
Use it again in its original context.
Okay. To support invidious hierarchies of social control.
Let's take a look at the definition of that word.
Invidious?
Yes.
INVIDIOUS. I spelled it out in the chat.
So.
Okay.
I have the definitions in front of me. It means calculated to create ill will or resentment or give offense. Hateful. 2. Offensively or unfairly discriminating. Discriminating, injurious. 3. Causing or attempting to cause animosity, resentment, or envy. And 4. Obsolete, envious. Which kind of explains the synonyms.
Yeah. We need the clip of it's a perfectly cromulent word.
Yeah.
Big word make me smart. A lot of people's logic.
Yep.
But we all know the ability to speak does not make one intelligent.
In this case, it's the ability to type.
Yes. Thank you so much for that meme, prequel trilogy. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, I need to clip that.
We get a whole lot of mileage out of that one.
Yeah, I need to clip that. Alrighty. From there, the study moves to the cult classic animated Sinbad trilogy of Ray Harryhausen.
Oh,
Films
dear.
rampant with xenophobic fears of the Middle East as relevant today as when the series was originally produced. Keep in mind, in the chat, guess when this book was released?
What, Sinbad or the book that you're
No,
reading from?
The book that I am reading. Guess when it came out.
In the ups.
It
wait,
came out in... Yeah, I told you guys.
yeah,
I told
you
you
told
too.
us.
I told you guys, but I'm thinking if chat can guess. That's what I'm interested in.
They're not even paying attention.
No, they're not. They're having their own conversation, which is fine. This
Yeah.
came out in 2005. This book is 15 years old. Bellin,
I'm so glad that I do not have a wine bottle with me right now because I'd pull the cork out and I'd start chugging. Ugh.
Yep. Bellin focuses on the image of the monstrous woman and the threat of reproductive freedom found in Aliens, Jurassic Park, and Species, and on depictions of the mentally ill as dangerous deviants in 12 Monkeys and The Cell.
That's.
Oh, go for it.
I'm assuming that is talking about Planet of the Apes.
No. 12 Monkeys is something else. 12 Monkeys is a...
I always confuse it with 12 Angry Men, but that's something completely different.
I've honestly never heard of 12 Monkeys, but I know The Cell is apparently like really bad, so...
The Cell. What is that?
It's got Jennifer Lopez playing a psychologist and a...
Jeez, I haven't heard that movie brought up in forever.
Yep. And it's got Vince Vaughn as a police detective. And it's basically they're diving into the weird mind of a serial killer.
Yeah, trying to find where he's put his victim.
It was actually published in 2005. But yeah, if we didn't know any better, I would have thought that it would have come out sometime this year or maybe last year or the year before. Because it certainly sounds like one of the books that would have come out right about now.
Yeah, what are we? Current year plus 5 now? Current year plus 6?
Something
like that. I think we're current year plus 6. I think current year was 2014.
Mm-hmm.
The first current year was 2014. I may have to look that up.
Alrighty. Hey!
Then again, I've been hearing current year memes since 2006, so...
Yeah. So the window looks nice. He's probably thinking about throwing himself out it.
Self-demonstration.
Yeah. You would have guessed that it came out closer to 2020. Yeah.
Yeah, like much, much closer. Had you not told me, I'd have guessed that it came out 2015 at the earliest.
Yeah. An investigation into physical freakishness guides his approach to Edward Scissorhands and Beauty and the Beast. He concludes with a discussion of X-Men.
Which Beauty and... Oh, right.
1999.
This should be...
Disney one. He concludes with a discussion of X-Men and Lord of the Rings, commercial giants that extend and a recent trend toward critical self-reflection within the genre, while still participating in the continuity of social alienation.
Jeez. I'll take X-Men, you take Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And I'll take Jurassic Park.
Alrighty. Well, this book is 200 pages.
20 of which is just the introduction. Good
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. Alrighty.
That's what, a fifth of the book?
About, give or take.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Why do I get the feeling he's either going to say orcs equals blacks or orcs equals
Mongolian. Mongolians, I think.
It's a
So,
South Park reference.
yeah. Oh dear. So, we are not going to be able to get through the entire book in one sitting. That would take an EFAP length stream.
Yeah, it would. It'll take maybe
All of
3, not including this one, perhaps.
Yeah.
Because I've already had to look up a word.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're only going to read the introduction today, and then we will read the next one on the next chapter on Wednesday. Maybe read the next chapter next Monday or next Wednesday, depending on like how well this goes. But
yeah,
we shall see. I am very, very excited. Let's see. Oh. Yeah, Nick Brown has a point. Early 2000s was good years for movies. Yes, it was very good. 2006 was pretty bad, I will say, though. Whatever year Spider-Man 3,
also,
X-Men
Revenge
3...
of the Sith came out in 2005, early 2000s.
Yeah.
Yes, they were.
Yeah,
They really were.
Yeah, I like Revenge of the Sith. It's very much in my personal tastes. Alrighty. Allow me to begin. Introduction. Monsters of our making. Monstrosity actualizes the tendency of all persecutors to project the monstrous results of some calamity or public or private misfortune onto some poor unfortunate who, being infirm or foreigner, suggests a certain affinity to the monstrous. Instead of bearing certain faintly monstrous characteristics, the victim is hard to recognize as a victim because he is truly monstrous. Rene Girard, The Scapegoat, 1982. End quote.
Oh, that was a quote? Okay.
Yeah, that was a quote.
Well, sometimes monsters are just that. Monsters.
Or sometimes you can be both. You can turn your victimization into being a monster.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Yeah, that is true. I think it was 2007, not 2008. 2006. My apologies. But then, like, 2008 was one of the best years for movies. Since you got Kung Fu Panda, Iron Man, Prince Caspian, a bunch of other good stuff came out that year. Alrighty. My favorite movie of all time is King Kong, the 1993 King Kong, that is. As a devotee of the original, I obstinately refuse to see any merit in the 1976 remake. Some of my earliest memories are of that great gorilla's many indelible moments, sitting astride a tyrannosaur, pulling its jaws apart, and then comically flopping the shattered jaw to assure himself of victory, roaring and swanning at sailors and islanders as the village gates came crashing down, standing pilloried on the exhibition stage, shaking his chains frenziedly as flashbulbs explode around him, and in a particularly haunting image, reeling atop the Empire State Building, limply gripping the Zeppelin mooring tower just moments before his fatal fall. As a child, I decorated my room with posters and plastic models of King Kong. I sought out many a screening and
plastic models of King Kong. I smell bullshit. When did he say he was doing that?
I don't know. He just said as a kid. I don't know how old he is.
Well, he's.
Hmm.
Well, I kind of want to call bullshit too, because only a millennial would have this kind of attitude now. Because it's only millennials that do. And no, I'm not including myself in that. Neither am I including you, Drake. And neither are you, Commander.
Well, I'm 24, so I guess I don't know whether I would. Oh, so this guy was.
A generation is a 30-year
Oh,
thing.
so
You
I
are
just.
you are younger, but you are within our generation.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
So-
for the record, there was a King Kong plastic model kit in the 1960s. However, it
So-
didn't sell very well, so I still call it bullshit. The next following one was in 92 or 93 something. So
Anyone who has to say I had this stuff towards this topic I'm discussing is not a real fan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
so,
Wise Wolf, that's true. Hello, Dr. Crow. Yeah, it is a case of, look how big a fan I am. Did all this, believe me, process.
check out the size of my fan penis.
To name the 3 biggest scenes in the movie.
Also, he said he liked one of the movies but didn't like the other? Could you reread that again?
So he likes the 1933 King Kong, but not this 1976 remake.
Oh, 33, you said. Okay.
Yeah, I thought you said 63.
Yeah. So apparently Mr. Bellin is 55 at the moment of this stream.
I definitely call bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Apparently he has not only written this book. He's written Dark's Dominion, Medicine Bundle, Indian Sacred Performance in Indian Literature, a very small girl child called Eugene, 10 Tales of Terror and Terra, Ecosystem, Framing Monsters, The Last Censor, The Demon of the Continental, Indians in the Shaping of American Literature, Freefall, Daughters of the Dust, House of Earth, House of Stone, The Devouring Land, Scavenger of Soul, and Survival Colony 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, 3, 6, 9, 12. Okay, so he's got 15 books out. I'm gaining on him. Yes, this was a book dick measuring contest.
If we look at history as a laundry list of grievances, we'll just maintain the fundamental cycle of violence in the name of retribution. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Good for its time, not as classical as the original, not as good as the Peter Jackson. Is the Peter Jackson one the newest one that came out?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Oh, so it's the one I saw in theaters then. Yeah, that one's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that version.
Yes, it's very good.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I sought out any screening of the film King Kong, no matter how obscure, like the one on the local Natural History Museum held, presumably because of the prehistoric angle. I drew countless images of Kong and of the original, all barely distinguishable giant apes I plan to put on screen. When the 1976 version came out, I sat appalled and seething at the numbing parade of bad jokes and worse makeup when my first VCR, a present from my parents, arrived at graduate school there was no doubt what my first video would be. A while ago at a dinner party, the subject of favorite movies came up, while someone else named adult titles like Rearview Mirror and Seven Samurai. I named King Kong, proudly. I state my love of Kong at the start of the study because in no time at all, I will launch into a discussion of the film that seems anything but the fond reflections of a fan. I will term Kong an expression of the violent racism of Depression-era America. I will describe my favorite film as one that participated in an urgent early 20th century project of defining and defending the prerogatives of the white race. A project that enlisted as its most fearful agencies the ritualized slaughter of a supposed black defiler of white womanhood.
He could have broken that sentence up more.
Good.
And, I wonder, why does he like Kong so much? No one liked Kong as much as they liked Godzilla.
Yeah, it's like...
I've never heard of anybody who likes Kong more than Godzilla.
Even I do, and I'm not a really big fan of kaiju.
Yeah, but that Godzilla probably wouldn't work because that was about the Japanese bigotry.
Yeah, that one was about, it was about nuclear fallout when it began. The first one? The first one was a
Godzilla was
movie.
essentially an allegory for America and the nuke, which they saw as
exactly
for America. Which is kind of funny, considering that Godzilla wound up being a huge fan with the little kids of the time who saw, oh, giant T-Rex that can breathe fire, that's awesome! And it completely lost its intended meaning, and this is how we got the Showa era.
Yeah, I remember the animated Godzilla. That was pretty cool.
Oh, do you mean the one with Godzuki?
No, the one with
or the 1998 base one.
I think it was the 1998 one. Animated with the little baby
The
ones.
one that made me forget that the Godzilla in the Matthew Broderick movie could not actually breathe nuclear fire. The cartoon actually had to invent that. That's pretty sorry.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Alrighty. So I will describe. So it's like he's basically saying it's basically about the ritualized slaughter of the supposed black defiler of white womanhood.
But
the ritualistic slaughter, they shot him with planes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's our new meme. Shooting people with planes is now ritualistic slaughter. Make it a thing.
That's just so stupid. It's
the ritualistic slaughter of Midway.
Of the defiling of white womanhood? The fuck does that mean? What?
Yeah, I thought you were supposed to believe all women anyway.
Yeah.
This is like, what is it? Birth of a Nation style logic. This is what he's conflating, it seems like. Because that is an actual movie about white womanhood being defiled by blackness, even though said black person is a man in black, is a pasty white dude with blackface on. And it is a terrible movie. It is poorly written. The acting sucks. And there's no redeeming qualities to it. Like, I know it's a movie of its time, but we have so much better stuff now that it's just like, this is pointless. Yeah.
It's like, Why would we go to watch movies to be reminded of how shitty the world is? Godzilla and King Kong can get away with those kind of themes because it's the fantastical huge gorilla and the nuclear breathed dinosaur,
Mhm.
and that makes up for it. But it's
It's really annoying.
yes. I would rather have a movie like Empire, where the ending is bittersweet, than something like The Last Jedi, which is just downer.
Yeah, it's a nihilistic ending where your hero dies and there's really nowhere to go
Yeah.
but down. And
Uh-huh.
arguably Rise of Skywalker is still worse than The Last Jedi from like a structural perspective. It was
Yeah.
so bad that even like the people that loved The Last Jedi just hated the movie. Like Patricia Taxon, Jack Saint, Just Right, Patrick.
Willems.
Yeah. Yeah. And Patrick loves everything. Like he said, unironically, I enjoyed my viewing of Cats more than I liked my viewing of Rise of Skywalker.
Good Lord.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's like sometimes you just want to watch a giant monkey beat up some lizards.
Or vice
you know,
versa.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or Godzilla beating up a bunch of monsters. Sometimes you want to watch a kaiju fight, and that's all you want.
So to give you an estimation of how much we've done, I'm on the beginning of page 2 and we're 32 minutes in.
Page 2! Woo!
Yay! Page 2! Oh, good God, we've got 18 pages left.
No, like 19. I'm just starting page 2.
Oh, crap. Yeah, we've got 19 pages left.
Yeah.
And I bet all of it is word salad. Ugh.
Yep.
My least favorite kind of salad.
Yeah, at least word salad is more area intensive than dense, so maybe we'll be able to get through it quicker than we think. Because I
Maybe.
imagine it's a lot of sound and
Maybe.
fury signifying nothing.
Oh,
Maybe. I've got both dictionary.com and thesaurus.com opened for if we run into any words that sound kind of weird.
Oh, I don't just have that. I tried to look up this guy on Wikipedia, and he's not there.
He's not on Wikipedia.
no, because
Not
he's
from what
barely
I saw.
done anything.
But as you said, he's got like 15 books.
Sound and fury signifying nothing.
Yeah, it's a whole boatload of crap. Alrighty.
So let's grab the shovel and dig in.
Alrighty. Nor, however, will I assert that Kong is the only fantasy film that takes part in the processes of ensuring the authority of dominant social groups by demonizing the outcast and the disempowered. Okay,
Disempowered?
What?
Kong is like 30 feet tall!
he's referring to minorities.
And
I believe.
his idea of Kong is equal to minority means that he thinks minorities are like these huge, massive giants that can only be brought down by state-of-the-art military technology.
Pretty much.
That's not even.
I wish I was that
remotely-
disempowered.
So it's like quite the contrary. I will argue that Kong is the exemplar, if not the prototype, of a long-standing and ongoing tradition in fantasy film that identifies marginalized social groups as monstrous threats to the dominant social order.
I call bullshit. Because
got-
it is bullshit.
Yeah, that was just a sentence.
Then what do you Lord of the Rings then? What do you call Star Wars? What Star Trek's different genre, never mind. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So, thus, as this study develops, Kong, which served as a benchmark in the fantasy film tradition, will similarly function as a touchstone of the many films I consider. Wizard of Oz, which I will argue expresses Depression-era fears of lower-class revolution.
What?
No. No.
Where was the donkey?
I think he's talking about that scene where the what are they? Not dwarves, but the little people are
Munchkins?
singing. Yeah, the Munchkins are singing and dancing because the Wicked Witch of the
East.
Yeah,
Yep.
Wicked Witch of the East is dead because the house fell on her.
Mm-hmm. Ray Harryhausen's Sinbad trilogy, which I will read in the light of post-war America's vilification of the Middle East.
What?
Oh, this is 2005. This is like 4 years after 9/11. We're still entrenched in Iraq at this time. Jurassic Park, where I will suggest joins in the late 20th century attack on the women's rights movement.
No, that's not an attack on that, you
What
goddamn
was that again?
moron.
Jurassic Park is part of the late 20th century attack on the women's rights movement.
It is not. We know it's not. Jurassic Park is timeless. If Jurassic Park was actually an attack on women's rights, then we couldn't watch it today because it would be horribly, horribly dated.
Yep. The only thing that
And
dates
it's
it is the
Spielberg.
tech.
It's
The only
timeless.
the only thing that it dates it is the tech.
Yeah.
But even then, like, you can watch it and just be like, oh, okay, that's some old technology, and they clearly didn't understand how how genetics worked, but it's fine. It works for the movie that we got, but
Yeah.
it's definitely like, this is pseudoscience at best.
Yeah, it's
And
like the effect
everybody
of the
understands that,
ERP
which is
monitor
why
in the
everyone gives it a pass.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty. 12 Monkeys, which I will critique for its role in furthering the image of the homeless mentally ill as dangerous deviants.
Okay,
I don't know
call
what 12
bullshit.
Monkeys is. Can we just skip it? Or
I have not seen it. I have not read any books that might be attached to it. But I can already call bullshit, because if that is a timeless classic, then that is not what it's talking about.
Let me see, let me look at the table of contents.
is 12 Monkeys?
Monstrous Minds, Fantasy Film, and Mental Illness on page 173. That's chapter 5. We could skip it. I guess. I just kind of want to read it to see what his takes are on it. Because seems like it would be
I think we
fire.
should do it, because then you'll have all of it as
Out
content, and if you want to go back to it, you can just watch these streams over again. However, if we skip it, then
we'll miss a chunk.
Yeah, we missed some of it.
Yeah.
So maybe what we should do
I don't even know I don't even think that he really is going to critique much of the content. He's just going to critique like the weird parallels and the weird like social stuff rather than just the plot.
Yeah, perhaps.
He's mostly probably just going to talk about it.
And if that's the case, then we really don't have to watch any movies, do we?
I don't think so. Like, it's mostly just like so that we have everything of this really bad book. We're 40 minutes in, and we're barely 2 pages in.
Oh man, that's how much word salad there is. Ugh.
Yeah, and it's so stupid too. It's just like, What I will illustrate through readings of King of Kong and the many films, past and present, that followed in its wake, is that these germinal fantasy films' racism, far from being an exception or an aberration, is in fact a particularly dramatic exhibition of alienating social practice that are prevalent in, and that may even be definitive of, fantasy film tradition as a whole.
Then what do you call Lord of the fucking Rings?
I have no idea.
And Kong wasn't fundamental. It was Lord of the Rings that shaped everything, not Kong. So I have no idea what the hell he's talking about.
Okay.
I smell some Trolls versus Orcs here.
Yeah, I do too. So apparently he was born in Pittsburgh. I don't know if he still lives there. Wise Wolf, don't let anybody catch you if you decide to do anything. We
yeah,
don't get caught.
Yeah.
If you do anything, don't get caught. At the simplest, I announced my love of Kong at the beginning of the study to clarify my position toward it and toward the other films I will discuss. To state this position succinctly, I am not out to badmouth or belittle films that others love, and in doing so, set myself above those who love them.
He spends a lot of time telling us what he's not going to do.
Yeah, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. I call bullshit. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You are like Patrick Willems when he says, "You're watching movies wrong."
Yeah, this is
Wait. The entire quote was, "I'm not telling you that you're watching movies wrong, Beat, but you're watching movies wrong."
Yep.
Yeah. As we said, don't get caught.
Alrighty. So, to be sure, I write from a critical standpoint in this study. I seek not, in the manner of illustrated surveys of the genre, to celebrate fantasy films for their many and undeniable delights, but to demonstrate that, far from being timeless or pure entertainment, they play a vital role in circulating and validating pernicious cultural beliefs embedded within specific social settings. Indeed, my argument...
Can I just say something really fast?
Go
I
for it.
use Grammarly, and Grammarly would cut down at least 10 pages out of what we're reading. At least. Just for brevity. Good Lord!
Yep. There's so much BS going on here.
Yeah, he'll never win that down. He'll never live
Nick
that
Brown.
down.
Patrick Wills will never live this down. The quote will be embedded on his tombstone. It'll probably say, "I'm not here to tell you you're reading Tombstones wrong, but you're reading Tombstones
wrong."
Okay. Alrighty.
Okay, see you later, Wise Wolf.
Have fun at Anomaly stream, buddy.
We are stronger than you believe.
Yeah. They play... So, indeed, my argument depends on how... precisely on questioning the putative purity of fantasy films, on showing them that those cultural places that seem the most benign or innocuous, that must be most closely scrutinized for their part in harboring widespread malignant social attitudes. But for me, as I suspect for most critics of fantasy film, fandom not only gave birth to, but continues to motivate criticism. It is because I was, and still am, a fan of fantasy films that my inquiry into them is as compelling, personal, and, if short of reverent, committed as it is.
No, if you insult something, that means you're not a fan. Clearly, you're a racist. You must blindly consume.
Right.
Sure. I'll if you want to come on,
Sucker.
we should probably we'll probably do another one of these on Wednesday, I think. Wednesday or next Monday.
Okay, what? Can you guys stop? I think we get how stupid they are. No need to do it. No, this isn't torture. This is
They
fun,
make the author
actually.
feel stupid.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
the inverse
the-
Betty off.
Yeah,
the ability to speak does not make one intelligent, nor does the ability to type, apparently.
Yeah. For me,
Oh.
that is, the exploration of fantasy film is driven by the question that troubles both the enthusiast and the skeptic in me. How is it that one can so love films that are in significant respects so hateful?
Wasn't I literally just talking about this on Discord? How even though I liked Lelouch's character, I wasn't particularly a fan of how he was going about his goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another quote Patrick can never escape.
This is a film about space wizards intended for children.
Well, at least it scored with its audience demographic.
Yep. This is gonna get
Podcast
worse.
and Anomaly are all doing streams today. I was hell-bent on reading my book. Well, I'm sorry, Demonic Beast.
Yeah.
Also, I know where that avatar is from. Thumbs up.
Yep, thumbs up.
Very simply.
That's awesome.
Very simply.
We have such sights to show you.
Yes.
Yep. And it gets better, my friends. This is just gonna get better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Boy, do I hate being right all the time.
ooh, that's a clip from Jurassic Park. I love those.
So you got your clips working. I think you had some trouble with that before, or was that Crow?
Yeah. I think that maybe it's just like my internet or something.
Okay.
Yeah. As the study progresses, such intimate questions will recede, replaced with more narrowly critical questions.
Wait,
about
he actually calls this book a study?
Yes, it is.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Replaced with more critically narrow questions about the form, features, and functions of fantasy film. But since this question is the one that brought me to the study of fantasy film, it seems fitting for me to use the question as broaching the other issues I will address. Moreover, it seems to me that this question is neither solely personal nor purely arbitrary. Rather, the paradoxical nature of fantasy films, their lovable hatefulness, seems to me pertinent to the other issues I will take on.
Lovable hatefulness.
Mm-hmm.
Better in
one chilly
giant
hot
quotation marks. Yep. Yes, Nick
Mhm.
Ron. Yes.
Yep. Thus, I begin by considering the love-hate question because I believe that this question will lead not only to answers about any particular film, such as Kong, but to insights into the ways in which fantasy films operate, the reasons for their popularity since the earliest days of the cinema, and the properties of these films as a genre.
So now he's beginning. So what the hell was any of this?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait.
Yeah. Very simply,
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Yep.
That's up there with
I
Bender
didn't
laughing
know-
and then laughing harder.
yeah.
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 Or
I feel like Bender a lot of the time when when listening to stuff like this.
Oh wait, you're serious.
Oh wait, you're serious? Let me laugh even harder.
Yeah.
You can hate something lovably. Yeah.
Yeah. I think at some point when we get really mad, I'm going to have to use this frequently.
Shut up! Shut up with that Kentucky Fried Foghorn Leghorn draw.
I call it as lovable hatefulness. Night, everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks, Crow. I hope you're not actually leaving.
Alrighty. Okay, to begin to unravel the love-hate paradox, it is first important to consider the approach to fantasy film that has been most widely adopted to critical studies to date. An approach according to which the love-hate question would be mystifying, if not wholly stupefying. For critics of fantasy film, what matters most is that about these artworks is not their social context, features, or functions. If they possess any such characteristics, these are considered wholly subordinate to the work's embodiment of universal elements and themes, mythological master narratives and archetypes, developmental or psychoanalytical dramas, and so on. Yes.
Who did the yes? You or the author?
Me. I'm like, that's what embodiment of universal elements and themes. Any of the characteristics that you are applying, Mr. Bellin, barely exist.
Yes.
Your thesis is tenuous at best.
We gotta have a talk about Death of the Author one of these days. Because this crap is why I don't buy it.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. There are people that believe in it. There are people who don't believe in it. I personally, it really kind of depends. With David Benioff, because he is not an author, it's easily... I refuse to call him a writer. He barely has any credentials. Most of the books he has written are crap.
Yeah. No kidding.
Yeah. And it's got so many ambiguous, awkward, and creepy things of ambiguously done women. Yep. So, the 1970s, an era that saw the most intense interest in fantasy, and particularly horror film, proved, I think he actually missed in fantasy films, I think he should have said films rather than films, but that's fine. Definitive for the universally realizing approach to the genre. Sociological explanations of monster films failed to recognize the historical fact that there will always be a spontaneous human taste for monsters, Lawrence Alloway warned, while Walter Evans announced that the films were so concerned with certain fundamental and identifiable features of human experience. No crap, Sherlock.
I'm pretty sure the author was saying yes every time he wrote what he considered a great statement.
Yeah.
Yes, Nick Brown. Yes.
Yep. And also that cultural contexts were superficial or non-essential to the film, to them, i.e. the films. Even Robin Wood's influential The American Nightmare horror in the 70s, which seemed to hint at the social context of fantasy film and its claim that the true subject of the horror genre is the struggle for recognition of all that our civilization regresses or oppresses, its reemergence dramatized, as in our nightmares, as an object of horror.
What? No! That makes no sense whatsoever! No!
So...
Okay, don't worry, I speak bullshit. Basically, he's saying that it's important that things that scare us also be in media designed to scare us.
Well, I think
Circular
so. It's
statement
basically
of
so
everyone.
so so it's basically saying that the horror genre is like the recognition of what all our civilization represses or oppresses, and when it comes back, it's dramatized as the object of horror.
But that's so
Does it
stupid.
not occur to people that some things are repressed for a reason, like, the urge to kill?
Yes, exactly. Best line with
Somebody came up with that in Discord. We gotta figure out who.
I
think it was Crow.
Dr. Crow.
It was Crow on one of the stream. It was Crow in one of the chat.
Yeah.
Okay, then all credit to Crow, Murder Lord.
Yep. This thought ultimately reinvigorated the dominant paradigm of minimalizing the historical nature of monstrosity. The monster is, of course, much more protean than the normal, changing from period to period as society's basic fears clothe themselves in fashionable and immediately accessible garments.
Yes,
Rather
Matt
as
Courier. Yes,
rather
this man is using a lot of words but saying very little.
uh-huh.
As we've been saying, it's word salad.
I'm going to hit you with this dictionary until you think I'm smart.
Basically.
Actually, not a dictionary. He's going to hit us with a thesaurus until we think he's smart.
Yep.
Just because you have a thesaurus and a dictionary does not mean that you are intelligent.
Good God, who uses the adjective protean? Just call it shapeless.
Ah, hello.
Amorphous, if you want to get really artful.
Hello, DB.
And also, hi, Mad Courier 6. Good to see you.
Yeah.
In the case, rather as dreams use material from recent memory to express conflicts and desires that go back to early childhood.
What? No.
So what he's saying is like, changing from period to period as society's basic fears clothe themselves in fashionable and ultimately actionable, accessible garments, rather as dreams use material from recent memory to express conflicts or desires that may go back to early childhood.
No, that's not. Dreaming is your brain assimilating what happened that day.
It's basically a glitch.
Yep. We have reached page 4, ladies and gentlemen.
Yay! Only 16 pages to go. Or is that 17?
17. We're at the beginning of page 4. In the case of Kong, such postulates have spawned a variety of readings. The film is termed A Walking Dream by Albert Faber, labeling a retelling of the Perseus Andromeda myth by Joseph Andriano, and of the Cupid Psyche myth by Harry
Wait. Did he say waking dream or walking dream?
Waking dream.
Hairball.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fan theory, Gollum is a hairball.
Yeah.
Yeah, hairball.
Yeah. Bad hairball. Yeah.
Very, very bad hairball. A waking dream. I would call that. I would actually. Oh, that's stupid. No. Just no.
So, judged a parable of adolescent sexuality by Noel Carroll and by Harvey Ray Greenberg. King Kong, that is. Dubbed a version of the Wild Man legend by John Seeley, and deemed a classical love triangle by Anthony M. Ogio. By these terms, the love-hate question simply makes no sense. By these terms, love of fantasy films is uncomplicated. Precisely
Thank
what one...
you! Thank you for coming to the right conclusion, though you probably came to it for all the wrong fucking reasons. Ugh.
Mhm. So, yeah, precisely what one would expect from artworks that claim such deep, global, and all-embracing hold on the human soul. In recent years, to be sure, this model has been subjected to reevaluation. Scholars have argued, as Annette Kuhn does in her collection of essays on science fiction film, that there is a relationship of some sort between these texts and the real world. Investigation of these furtive relationships has yielded intriguing theses, including Indy Hendershot's twin volumes on sci-fi horror during the McCarthy era, Mark Jankovich's comparable study of horror in the 1950s,
Well,
Edric Green's...
he isn't wrong about people finding inspiration in what's going on around them. Because they do. That's what my
Sci-fi
discovery
in
writing of
the McCarthy era? Like what?
McCarthy. I think he's talking about the World War II thing.
Yeah, most stuff in that era was actually written as historical crap, like The Crucible, theoretically.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
suggesting that it was in any way sci-fi bull crap. Don't drag the genre into this. Sci-fi was actually the home of the libertarians who were decrying excessive government intervention and like the destruction of knowledge and stuff like Fahrenheit 451.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Let me finish up reading this list. Eric Green's explication. That's interesting use of the word. Probably explication. That's really interesting. Of the Planet of the Apes series in light of the civil rights struggle. And Daniel Leonard Bernaldi's consideration of the Star Trek juggernaut in respect to current racial politics.
No.
Significant.
The Star Trek juggernaut?
Star Trek, that's no. That's a it is a socialist utopia, but it's supposed to be a utopia, which means that Earth is a frickin' paradise, and we want for absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And the show itself is about solving problems that we have already solved. No. The show is about helping other races solve the problems that we have already solved centuries ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the show is about. It's
So
not.
I think that he's saying like, yeah, that it's working on race. Yeah, I think that like that's what he's saying. He's just saying it in a really poorly phrased way.
I don't think he's saying that personally.
Maybe.
I think he's one of the people that loves Lower Decks.
Lower Decks has no philosophy at all. It's just
It's
stupid.
Rick and Morty in space.
Yeah, it's
That's
Rick and
even
Morty.
too much for it.
Yeah, it's a really it's a bastardized Rick and Morty clone with us in Star Trek drag.
Yeah, and you have a Rick and Morty writer on it.
Mm-hmm. Shall we continue?
For some reason, yes.
Mm-hmm. Significantly, however, the bulk of such revisionary work has been performed on the sci-fi film, a genre.
Revisionary work?
Mm-hmm.
Revision?
A genre that is typically thought to diverge from the fantasy mainstream in being overtly linked to real-world contexts. In the
No.
meantime, yeah, I would very much disagree with this.
Yeah.
So, yeah. In the meantime, considerable resistance remains to historicizing his films that appear to elude or resist the sci-fi label. Films such as The Wizard of...
Historicizing? Is that even a word?
I
So I
think
think-
so.
I think that is an attempt to kind of put like a historical context on the film.
You
Films
mean
such
historical illusion? There's so
Yeah.
many easier ways to say what he is trying to get across.
as yeah. Did you not have an editor? Or is your editor
do
or
not
did you
think so. Okay, so how is that spelled?
it is HISTORICIZ as in Z ING.
Now, for the next ones of these, we gotta like take screen caps of these pages or something like that.
Yeah, or something.
So that way you can
So-
prove, no, yes, it is really this stupid.
Okay.
Let-
The
I-
definition is 1, to interpret something as a product of historical development, and 2, to narrate as history, render historic.
Let me see. Where's a
Holy mother of God, look at the size of that paragraph.
Oh, good lord, is that that
It
looks
goes
like...
off the page! It's half the page! And it still goes off the page!
It's a wall of text! It's a freaking
move
wall
ahead.
of text!
Holy crap!
I don't think this guy even uses Grammarly. He can't because it's just word salad.
You know, when Voidwalker talks like this, it's because he hates people.
Oh. Oh.
Yep. To historicize films that appear to elude or resist the sci-fi label, films such as Wizard of Oz, the fairy tale Fantasia of Tim Burton's Edward Scissorhands.
Wait, Fantasia?
Wizard of Oz resists the sci-fi label? What the?
But Wizard of Oz is not sci-fi. Wizard of Oz is fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
So what the...
It's a flavor of speculative fiction.
Yeah, Mad Career. That's just hard to look at. And it's one of the reasons why I said when I was reading for someone else, my god, that looks like a wall of text. Please break this up. It's because we lose our freaking place.
At least kind of that quote
Yeah,
reminds
he
me
had
of like
one. If
that
he
reminds
had
you-
one, he should fire them.
yeah, this kind of reminds me of a quote from Tyrion, like, I milked my eel into a pot of turtle stew. I skinned my sausage. I flogged the one-eyed snake. I made the bold man cry. Into the turtle stew, which I do believe my sister ate, at least I hope she did. You remember when Game of
Yeah.
Thrones was good? It didn't suck. It was funny. It wasn't just like straight cock and ball jokes.
Yeah. Nick Brown, I'm not sure he did, but if he did, the sentences are so flowery, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, it literally the paragraphs start like this page literally only has 2 paragraphs.
That's not how you write any kind of book.
Yeah, it's like this one has like it technically is like just like this one has like 2. This one has 3. And it's like
Yeah, that's not the 5 to 7 sentence structure.
yeah. I will have to like put screenshots. Like maybe I'll like take pictures and put them up there. But I think I
Yeah.
might get copyright problems if I'm not like reading it. Maybe I don't know. We'll see. I'll try it. Or Peter Jackson's screen adaptation of J.R.R. Tolkien's epic swords and sorcery trilogy. In the case of such films, Barry Keith Grant, universalizing approaches continue to be seen as the most profitable.
Yes, because if he did have an editor, that is so offensive for editing. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So pervasive is this commonplace that in 1995, Brian Atteberry delivered the keynote address to 12th Century International Conference on the Fantastic and the Arts, both the title, the politics, if any, of fantasy, and its tone indicated the sense that he was broaching a subject quite unprecedented, even heretical to the majority of his listeners. The politics of fantasy, what a particular thing to talk about. It's not hard to see a connection between fantasy and archetypes, or fantasy and ethics, or fantasy and an expression of metaphysics. But what has politics to do with it? I will return to the implications of the ostensible contrast between sci-fi and fantasy films has for the definition of the genre for the moment. It is significant to note that the longevity and vigor of the paradigm by which films strongly identified with otherworldliness, innocence, or spectacle are denied a historical genesis or function.
No, Nick Brown, he's going to sell it. And if I didn't know that this person was an American, I'd have sworn up and down that he was Russian. Because I know a Russian writer. And he is wordy as all hell.
Yeah, this
And
kind of
so's
even
this.
sounds translated.
It does sound like it was Google translated. It does.
Mm-hmm.
Though some word choices are way, way, way too specific to actually be Google Translate. But still, this guy sounds like he grew up in Russia.
Mm-hmm.
And the Russians are...
Or at least vacations there.
We're a fifth of the way through. We're good. At this rate, we'll be here for another 4 hours.
Not surprising. Good God. Oh.
Yep. Needless to say, this study, i.e., this really badly written book, depends on challenging that paradigm. In doing so, however, I do not mean to suggest that universalizing approaches to fantasy possess no validity, or that they may work together with a historicizing approach to ground an assessment of fantasy films' cultural work. So basically what he said was, you're watching movies wrong.
Yeah, basically. That's basically what he said. Only 4 hours? No, you said... You said 4 more hours we'd be done. That means we'd be here for 5 hours plus.
Just like the old days.
Yep. Fantasy films, as I will discuss at greater length shortly, are indeed protean works. There is little to be gained in reducing them.
Again, protean.
Don't use that word. Use a better known word.
Or don't use the same adjective for the same thing twice.
Yes,
Mhm.
don't do that. That there is a very good reason why people do not use the same word multiple times, because it is freaking repetitive, and it's bad writing to be that repetitive. Ugh.
Mhm. There is little to be gained in reducing them exclusively to vehicles of social alienation. Nor, among the possible readings of fantasy films that one might propose, is it surprising that universalizing readings should have gained the ascendancy. Indeed, if one accepts the commonplace definition of fantasy as that which could never have been, cannot be, and can never be within the actual social, cultural, or intellectual milieu of its creation, then the proposition that a film about a giant gorilla god is deeply, necessarily, rather than
Gorilla God?
fortuitous.
Gorilla God.
Kong. Kong,
Kong was
yeah.
a god?
To
No,
Or
the.
Kong
Kong
was
was
just
not a
big.
god.
Well, to the natives, he might as well be a god.
Well, that's true, but that
Mhm.
doesn't.
Yeah.
Your god gets taken down by 50 Calvin, you might want to start worshipping something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's but the proposition that a film about a giant gorilla god is deeply, necessarily, rather than fortuitously or tangentially affiliated with the specific cultural issue of 1930s racially motivated violence against African Americans would automatically be ruled out.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm almost positive that Kong was some kind of tropical island.
Yes.
Yes. It's
So it's
called
less of a Africa sort of Somali type of thing, and more of a like Haiti sort of thing.
or Polynesian Islands.
Oh yeah, or Indonesian,
Somewhere around there, I think.
Yep.
whatever the
Yeah.
hell Moana was going on about.
Mhm.
That.
Kong was the guardian slash god to the natives of Skull Island.
Yeah. I would argue, however, that this is precisely because of the counterintuitive nature of such a proposition that needs to be entertained. For as I hinted at the outset, I believe that the move to unmoor fantasy films from their social contexts, to dismiss or laud them as pure innocent diversions, is fundamental to these films' social power. Any social production that can be so readily denied as a social production can perform, or in the denial has performed, injurious social work. If therefore universalizing approaches are allowed to form a protective cocoon around films such as Kong, legitimizing popular and commercial opposition to recognizing the film's often corrosive cultural work, I believe that such approaches do a disservice not only to the films, but to the culture that bred them and the audiences that view them. This is a think of the children argument.
It sounds like what you could also say about The Last Jedi. It pretends it's not cultural, that it's not in some way a massive political fuck you, but it is one. And it's done
ultimately-
Well, it's not
immeasurable
just-
amounts of commercial damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's done like lots of like creative damage because like it made money. There are a number of people that think this is a great Star Wars movie.
It is
And-
not a good Star Wars movie.
It's not
No.
even a good movie.
No, it's not. It falls way, way, way short of the benchmark for a good Star Wars movie.
A Star Wars movie should not be a shaggy dog story, essentially.
No, it should not be. Star Wars is a story of good versus evil. It is not a story of morally gray characters.
Hmm.
And there's a very good reason for that.
Well,
Come on,
no,
Wolfie.
it's not really even the fact that Star Wars is not an exploration of morally great characters. is the fact that the Last Jedi is just brain dead.
Yeah, and
You could have a morally gray thing. You just need to be a good writer to pull it off.
yeah, and you need to be better than most to pull it off in Star Wars, which is a blatantly black and white franchise.
Yeah. A lot of the video games are actually like a lot of morally gray, like
Yeah,
KOTOR.
KOTOR. Yeah, KOTOR and KOTOR 2 pull it off fantastically.
And SWOTOR is actually like relatively morally gray in terms of like sometimes
Shadows
like
of the Yeah, with Shadows of the Empire. That game was also really good with a morally gray character. With
morally LOL
Dash Rendar.
morally gray characters. Yeah.
People keep telling me they know who I am. Nobody does. Not even the audience.
Oh, we know who you are. You are.
You are a Marie Ray Sue.
You are Mare Sue.
I'll see if I can get that octave higher each time.
You're not Mare Sue. You're Ray Sue. You're Goddess Sue. That's what you are.
Ray now, I think Ray deserves her own category in the Mary Sue.
Which is why I said Ray Sue.
Yep, she is. Yeah, she deserves her own category.
Yeah, we need to.
I opted for Catalyst Sue. She undergoes no change whatsoever, and yet she somehow magically pushes the plot along without getting changed in any way.
She would have worked so much better if she had been a Paragon type character instead of the everyday man.
Or made her into a bad guy.
Yeah. Which do you think is the best Star Wars? The first/fourth one? When you first saw Luke?
I think the best Star Wars is Empire.
Empire followed very, very closely by Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah. Because I think that like there are some slight issues. I think that there are some things with like George Lucas that he kind of relied on extra material to kind of flesh out the world, unfortunately, at some points. Like Order 66, the only reason why we know exactly what that is because of extra universe stuff. Where it's basically like just one of the orders that's built into the clones because the clones are docile and only ARC troopers have some measure of agency. At least like in the original EU, and then the Clone Wars kind of muddles the continuity a little bit.
Yeah, and that just goes to show that even with a whole ton of writers, you can keep things relatively consistent. Now, the quality might be all over the place, depending on who's writing, but at least it all
conjoins together not terribly badly.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the new books, which I refuse to read,
they're all written by monkeys. One of them is named Chuck Wendig, otherwise known as Chuck.
They're written by monkeys smashing their hands on typewriters.
It was the best of times. It was the bluest of times.
I was thinking actually they were using a different, more floppy appendage than their hands.
You mean? Do you mean their tails or their other one?
Well, their frontal tails.
Oh, that's the one they're using.
I thought you would be happy. Your tail is wagging.
That's not my tail.
You mean meme? Why not Zoidberg?
You're welcome, folks, for that image.
Yeah, the death stick addicted Kate Skywalker from the Legacy series was morally gray. And that
Mhm.
works.
Mhm.
But on the most sweeping of strokes, the universe is black and white. Even the morally gray characters are on a side, and it's obvious which side they're on.
Mhm. Shall we continue?
It was attempted to be Zoidberg, Charles Hawkins.
Yeah. So, if therefore universalizing, by contrast, universalizing approaches that help to explicate the dimensions for the love-hate paradox are deeply productive to further study. As for instance, when the psychoanalytic theory in the hands of feminist scholars assists us in understanding the truly staggering abhorrence of female sexuality that marks some monstrous woman films such as Alien.
Sex sells, you fucking moron!
Also, Alien was woman versus woman. Or is it Alien or Aliens?
It's Alien. So it's saying abhorrence of female sexuality in Alien.
Mm.
I have not
The
watched
Queen
Alien.
was in Aliens. Did this?
Like he says, 1979 for Alien. So basically, well, I think that like Alien, I have not watched Alien from beginning to end, but I've heard many people talk about it.
I
And
have.
essentially, isn't Alien kind of like it's entrenched in kind of male fear of pregnancy / male fear of rape? Like John Hurt, a dude, is the guy who gets killed by the alien.
Kinda. It's sort of a pregnancy thing, and also the xenomorphs are essentially designed to be super bizarre and essentially baleful creatures. Things that were just the antithesis of any life that wasn't itself.
Mm-hmm. Like,
Hence the
and
acid blood.
yeah, and just the fact that they were able to survive in space.
Yeah. And then, some people were I think I remember somewhere, they were going, it makes no sense that the acid would stop eating through the ship, but,
Yeah, that was Patrick again.
yeah, Patrick, oh my god, Patrick, do you not know how chemicals work?
Yeah,
Do you
but
not
Mole
know
already
how
handled
acids
that,
and
so-
bases work? No, I do not think you do. Acids are potent until they are
Neutralized.
neutralized. And the way you neutralize an acid is that you use a base. Acids and bases are both corrosive, and until one is added to the other, they can eat things.
The perfect orgasm. Organism, but
Apparently, yeah.
A facehugger comes from an external egg, implants an embryo in the chest cavity within a host, which takes on features of the host organism.
Yeah.
That's
Thanks for
partially
that,
based
Smith
on
Dragon.
things that actual insects do. Yet the funny thing is the way actual insects do it is way more fucked up than what Giger came up with.
Yeah, the wasps that lay their eggs in the caterpillars, and then the larvae of the wasp eat their way out of the caterpillar. And then there's a wasp that lays an egg in arachnids in the desert, because that's the only place where there's moisture. Ugh.
Let's continue. At the same time, however, it is important to recognize that the particular shape that unreasoning hatred takes, and the particular popularity of the films in which it appears, cannot be explicated solely through universalizing approaches, It is necessary to situate the films in history to appreciate that their strategies for demonizing women, however, may have been fueled by psychosexual anxieties, take forms that are unique to their time and place.
Their strategies. It's like they think these directors are going, you know what this movie really needs? To make people afraid of bitches.
I hate these people.
You're not the only one, but at least we can laugh at them.
Yeah. Like, I'm not like the bigot. I'm not a fan of sexism or racism. I think that most decent people are not. But it seems as though this person is like digging really, really, really deep to try and find racism and sexism where it kind of isn't there.
It sounds like he's projecting. It's like, oh man, the racists and sexists are sneaking their stuff into their media. Why didn't I think of that?
And also, it's James Cameron.
I wonder if he's touched the moon yet. Because he really is raging.
Oh, I was thinking he's touching Mars. Oh, well, and he's going to be touching Pluto by the end of this book.
Oh, if not the Oort cloud. Yes, Samantha Dragon I was talking about the tarantula eater wasp. Yes.
Alrighty. So, the same holds for Kong. If myths and archetypes of the dragon and the wild man help explain the brute threat of his rampage through New York, the particularities of that threat are fully materialized only through the cultural practices and code that the 1930s mobilized in its assault on African American rights, livelihoods, and lives.
You keep using those words. They do not make you sound intelligent. If anything, they make you sound dumb.
Also, who do you think was assaulting black people's rights in those eras? People who didn't think that they were that smart. People who thought they were comparable to apes. Like you!
And the people who didn't want them to be... And the people who thought of them as not human. I am not joking. There are still people who do not think that blacks are human.
And those people are terrible.
Yes, they are terrible human beings.
Yes, and we do not like them.
No, we do not.
We are laughing at this man who seems to say everything is racist, everything is sexist.
And you have to point it all out.
Even if it is gigantically reaching or not there.
Yes, exactly.
But is it Perion?
Good job, Samantha Dragon. You keep
are
using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. Exactly.
Yeah.
He uses this flowery language. He is really, really into purple prose, but I do not think he understands the meaning of half the words he uses. And
Yeah,
he just uses the words so that he can go, oh, look, I'm intelligent because I know these words.
Yeah, he's definitely trying very, very hard to sound academic. But the problem is...
He's trying a wee bit too hard, methinks.
Yep. In making these assertions, I followed the important distinction proffered by Ismene Lotta Richards in her consideration of mythic monsters.
Proffered. I think he means preferred. Or...
read the sentence again.
The important distinction proffered by, like offered. or handed forward.
Yeah, that actually is correct.
Yeah, it works. It's fine.
It's awkward, but it's correct.
Yeah, it could be a better way of saying it would have been put forward by, but
Yeah,
proper is
Proposed. Suggested.
he should have used proposed or suggested. I'm getting Save the Cat vibes from this book. Yes.
I think I've heard really bad things about Save the Cat, but at least Save the Cat is a technical exploration from what I understand. This is just a weird, overly psychoanalytical look at films that don't have that much depth.
It's like, this is why everybody laughs at Freudianism. Aside from the whole penis stuff.
Yeah, sometimes a banana is just a banana.
Cigar.
Or sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. Yeah.
Sometimes a cherry is just a cherry.
Mm-hmm. But I imagine it's fun to pop it.
Okay, I took that the wrong way. Sorry.
Oh, what? Cherry juice is delicious.
Well, yes it is.
Oh. It took me a couple seconds, but then ow! Cherry juice. If stuff comes out of the cherry, I don't think that's healthy.
I'm sorry.
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. Cherries are red. Whatever you guys are thinking about is probably of multiple hues, depending on the.
We're thinking of something that is ambiguously brown. Ambiguously brown holes.
I needed that laugh.
You're welcome. I'd be interested to see what kind of justice that was.
Oh, all the euphemisms you'll hear. Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway.
For clarity, we are 6 pages in, so...
Woo!
Yay!
Way further than I thought we'd be.
Yeah. Despite their haunting permanence, the beings of natural phenomena that people of all lands and ages have termed monstra possess no fixed, secure, inherent attributes.
What?
Monstra.
Not
Well,
monstrous. Monstro?
Okay.
MONSTRAE. Is he actually using the Latin?
Well, technically, this is a quote from a person by the name of Ismeen Ladder Richards.
Okay, I think that person is also using words to try and make themselves sound smart. Me and some friends read chapter 1 for an event, and one of us lost our mind when it came to the subject of irony and how the writer didn't understand the meaning of the word.
Oh, isn't that ironic?
Whoa. He's been doing that, Wolby.
Yeah, I have been. I think I did it last time with Nick Brown, since I was just showing off my book covers.
Yeah.
Since I got a bunch of books in the mail, that are mine. So, woo! So, monstra possess no fixed, secure, inherent attributes which can attract or justify such a denomination. If we were to look for one single event of constancy within the ever-changing borders of monstrosity, this would almost certainly be the relativity of the monster as a humanly constructed concept. That is to say, the simple truth that its prerogatives and its essence are powerfully interlocked with the perennial dialectic of otherness with respect to norm, And as norms are culturally determined, monsters become inevitably culture-specific products.
Slight ingredient he is forgetting is like he seems to be under this idea that it's like whatever we're scared of is turned into a monster. Slight thing that he's missing is that monsters have agency. An idea will not hurt you. A monster will.
Yes.
Also, there are
is.
multiple different iterations of the same monster. Like Hydra.
So it's like what the problem isn't even the monster or even the idea it represents. It's the malevolence of that idea.
Yeah. And sometimes it's subverted, like in Beauty and the Beast, where the true monster is the human, and the monster is just a person with that has that doesn't look human. Or,
So,
like Monsters, Inc., where after all the scaring or all the laughing, the monsters are all just normal people. And they're just playing a role.
Yep. As Ladder Richards notes, through the human proclivity to fantasize monstrous threats to the norm may indeed be universal. The specific threats that societies fantasize correlate to the specific norms that societies fear may be threatened. In this sense, if it is unsatisfactory to focus on the universal qualities of fantasy films to the exclusion of all else, it is because the mythic resonances or psychosexual energies of a cultural production such as Kong do not exist apart from, or even alongside, its culturally coded anxieties concerning interracial union, but, quite the contrary, play a part in conducting, and by the same token are conducted by, its historically specific racist discourse.
No. These people, they do not understand allegory. They do not
They don't
understand
the story they're talking about. Kong was after whoever Fay Ray's character was. Kong was after her despite she not wanting anything to do with Kong. And in fact, it was like I think the Islanders basically suckered her into it.
No, they capture her.
Yeah, captured her. Wasn't it? They tricked her. They actually like held her hostage. So essentially, it's like they were. It's like reverse pimping.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that actually fuels their thing of where they're thinking, oh, it's basically just a savage giant black man wanting to rape a white woman.
Ugh.
That's what these people read it as.
Their view of the world is so very, very shallow.
Mm-hmm. So they don't think like Kong is just a nature guy who's walking around, is lonely.
Yeah, it's like even if you can
get into the orcs are racist thing, and this was
I bet we will.
2050, 2005, before people even thought about that crazy nonsense.
This is going to be that's probably going to be the last chapter / the conclusion.
Probably.
Thankfully, the conclusion is only about 4 pages, 3 pages.
Oh, thank God! Thank God!
I think the reason why this is such a long, long introduction is because he knows on a subliminal level that what he is proposing is insane, and he is trying to justify his position. He's saying, "No, what I'm doing is legit. Listen to my stuff." Most people, though, there could also be a point of where
so many more words.
Yeah. And also,
he's not even merciful to the idea that maybe this all could have been a giant accident or coincidence. It's like, fun story, original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the Black Ranger was black, and the Yellow Ranger was played by an Asian. And do you know what the cast said when they realized that? Oops!
Yeah, oops. They did, but it was a complete coincidence, and it worked.
Mm-hmm. Okay. My decision to place the historical character of fantasy films squarely in the center of my analysis then represents an attempt to account for the films in their entirety, to view the universality of fantasy films not apart from, but within the context of their social historical grounds. And in this respect, my approach represents as well an attempt to credit the more disquieting elements of the film's fascination, the sense in which films of fantasy may be so enticing as to stifle criticism of their noxious qualities, not least
What?
because those qualities may be accepted as real, the necessary, the right, by the majority of the film's viewers. So basically, he's saying that like people like this so much they don't want to think about their racist stuff or their noxious qualities, as they say.
Oh my god. No. 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 These films are timeless films. If these films were as racist as you say they are, then they would be dated as fuck.
Nick Brown, just imagine how Amazon is going to handle this situation with
Oh
their
dear
new
lord.
Lord of the Rings series. Yeah, like I am decently hopeful for Wheel of Time. It seems as though the people. It's kind of like. It's not exact. It's not like offensively woke like Star Wars is. It's like being fairly like decently progressive. It's saying the characters in the book were not specifically described as this particular race. So what we're going to do is we're going to cast the best person for it. And there's even evidence in the text that says that like people that look like this may even be what people could look like in the book.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm ultimately okay with it.
Yeah, as long as they do the casting for the best person
Yeah.
possible.
Yep.
And if that happens to be a black person, then it's a black person. If it's
Yeah.
a Latino or a Latina, it's a Latino or a Latina. And if it's a white person, it's a white person.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah. And also like some of the things that like with Robert Jordan, like some of his people are like described as being 6'6".
Oh no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I may not be a fan of Lord of the Rings, but oh good
Yeah.
god, no.
Amazon they did get rid of the telecom experts. That is not a good. No, it is not a very good sign.
That's
Also, they hired.
stupid.
Also, they fired. I think they got rid of most of their writing staff as well, and like they're still scrambling to get more writers. Few people are cast, but like, thankfully they got rid of Brian Cogman. Brian Cogman
Yes.
is not a. He is barely a writer.
Yeah,
Since
and
he basically learned everything he knows about screenwriting from David Benioff, who he himself knows bugger all
nothing.
about screenwriting.
Yeah, you think you have you can't write, and you think you have a style.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just trying to force representation is bad.
Yeah,
Now,
and in this
if
case,
the entire staff just happens to be black because every single person that was best for the job was black, that's fine.
Mhm.
It goes the same way for those who are white and those who are Mexican or Spanish or British.
yeah,
If they are the best for the job, then you should hire them. Not the other way around. You shouldn't go looking for a black woman or a white man or a Latino or a Latina just to check a box.
yeah,
And you especially shouldn't do that if the people have no chemistry.
yep, that'd be really bad.
Because
Pandering does not make
Poe
for good
and
things.
Ray, well, one, they're badly written characters, but two, the people they hired to be those characters don't really have any chemistry going for them. John Boyega and Oscar Isaacs had chemistry. Iffy chemistry, but they still had chemistry. And John Boyega and Daisy Ridley had chemistry. But Daisy Ridley and Oscar Isaac did not have chemistry.
No, they
from
didn't.
what I saw. And even worse, they didn't even try to figure out if they had chemistry or not until the third film.
Shall we continue?
Yes.
It is for this reason, as well as that I am mistrustful of the common move whereby this hateful nature of fantasy film is, if not wholly denied, then displaced or mitigated. A move that acknowledges the socially alienated character of fantasy films, yet seeks to salvage their lovable character by preserving a pure space untouched by social forces.
What?
But everything is political.
I'm just going to wait for that Wheel of Time show with a grain of salt. Just because the books aren't woke doesn't mean that they can't inject it into the show caught by franchise in the last decade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't. I have faith so far. The people there have credentials at least. But like with this book, all I can say
it gets
is
better. It gets fucking better. Okay.
Yeah. According to such a division, what one loves and what is hateful in fantasy films are two separate things. A film's story or style, say, can be set in opposition to its cultural strategies. Strategies implies that is something deliberate. I firmly reject that.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's possible to make timeless movies. You just have to decide that you want your movie to be timeless. And the way you make your movie timeless is you don't inject modern day politics into it.
I'll say it yet again. Do not inject your politics. Put politics in there, but have the politics be the character's politics, not a reflection of yours.
Also,
Yeah.
don't just put like people you hate as the political, or people who believe in your politics you hate as the antagonists.
Don't do that. Just
the only way I put in
don't.
people that I hate are just like they're one-off minions usually that get gruesome deaths because I can.
And because it's cathartic.
Yes, it's exceptionally cathartic. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll probably be able to read more about that when mine comes in on Wednesday. Woo!
Which one?
Crap, I'll have to look it up. I think it was that really, really big one. It had one of the more abstract covers.
Tempest of Shadow?
Yeah.
Tempest of Shadow?
I think that was it.
So it's not really meant to be kind of like an abstract. It's meant to be kind of like a shrouded demon head.
That might not have been it then.
Well, like it's that's what it's kind of meant as. Let me show the chat what he's talking about. Talking about this.
Nice.
Oh yeah, it was Tempest of Shadow.
Yeah, and then kind of on the back. I can't quite tell like how it managed to get like this, but it's kind of like this is the arm, this is the face. So, yeah. Let's cultural strategies such that a well-plotted or well-executed film can be loved, even admired, by those who firmly reject its racist discourse and practice. Adriano, for example, proposes that a distinction when he writes Kong remains a powerful, stirring, even sublime experience in spite of its racism. As a complete partition of fantasy films from social reality. However, this distinction between parts of a film cannot be sustained absolutely. Indeed, the distinction Adriano draws exemplifies the riskiness of this approach, insomuch that it ultimately leads back to the utter separation of fantasy film from history. That is, he is able to find Kong sublime despite his racism, because he is able to identify aspects of the film that remain untainted by the historically based racism that presumably operates at a more superficial level or at a different place in the film.
Then, by that logic, that means he's fundamentally incapable of liking a movie that says that racism is bad.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. I really hate this book. I freaking hate this book.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the one reading it.
You're welcome, folks.
Oh.
I need to put up a...
This is blinking.
Basic,
Yes.
Yeah, basically it's like I basically separate like what he reads as slightly racist and something. Like the problem is like some of the racism that he is seeing does not exist is non-existent. That's just his deep weird reading of it.
Oh man,
Yeah.
give this guy the White Fragility book. He'll have a field day.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, no. No.
Alrighty. Let me okay, we're midway through page 7.
Oh, good God, we're not going to get to the end, are we?
Yeah, it might be a while. Yeah.
We're almost 2 hours in, and we're not even halfway through the introduction.
That's because this book is so bad. This is the 50 Shades of Grey of movie analysis books.
This is purple prose hell.
Yup. Such a distinction between a film's pure cinematic qualities, its narrative or stylistic virtuosity, and its ideologically suspect substance ignores the fundamental tenet of film criticism that a film's substance is its story and style. A film's meanings do not survive independently of its narrative or stylistic elements, but exist as such through the operation and interrelation of those elements. Indeed, in the case of fantasy films, such a separation of style or story from substance may even be more unsupportable than it is for other types of film. Given the incredible narratives and equally stylistic / special effects have constituted fantasy films' raison d'etre from its beginnings, I will argue throughout this study.
What was that? What constituted fantasy's raison d'etre from the beginning? Run that by me one more time.
Okay,
Thank you,
so
Wolvie.
Okay, so
Bye, DB.
Yep. I am going to have to take a bathroom break in a little bit, but I'm going to try to get to page 10 before that. Okay.
Oh,
Have you ever heard of poop sucking, Done?
I do have a Powerade bottle, empty Powerade bottle close to me, so I can always use that. I'll just
Powerade puts into you what your body takes out.
I'll just mute myself when that comes on, so you know. Oh, Dunna's taking a leak. Alrighty. So it's basically saying that its incredible narratives and special effects constitute its raison d'etre from the beginnings. I will argue that throughout the study
So
to
its
isolate...
goal is to look pretty?
Yeah, pretty much. So, incredible narratives and equally incredible stylistic effects. I will argue throughout this study that to isolate narrative or style from the total system of the film is particularly hazardous when dealing with the fantasy genre. You have not
No,
proved
it's not.
this.
Hazardous? That's a little
Yeah.
melodramatic.
Yeah. If one loves Kong, one loves Kong. One cannot draw a clean line between abjuring its message and adoring its medium.
No, that's wrong.
Abjuring. What the fuck?
Rejecting or not liking.
Why can't he just use words that are...
One moment. I'm muting myself. I need to go.
Okay. Good
Oh, you
God.
didn't have
Why
to be a whiz to see that coming.
Why can't he
Entertain
just
yourselves
use...
while I'm gone. The end of it.
Okay. Why can't this guy just use plain speech? The purple prose is driving me absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it's getting really challenging to tell what he's trying to say, and it's to the point where I just have to pick my battles, and I can't just point out everything that I think I misheard because it was just that stupid, only for them to read it again and realize that, yes, I did not misheard it, was that stupid.
Indeed.
Indubitably.
It's why I've been silent and going, what? What? Because purple prose makes things hard to understand when you get ultra flowery. The way this guy has. Ugh.
Yeah, this bellicose canine violator. See, I can do this too! Bellicose canine. That's another one for Naughty Dog, by the way. Not quite.
Nice.
That's more like Angry Dog.
Yeah.
Bellicose avians.
God damn it. Oh.
Yeah.
When
I was 15, I too swallowed a thesaurus.
I have trouble with purple prose myself because sometimes sometimes I do it deliberately, sometimes I don't know I'm doing it. Because sometimes it's at a moment where I have one character, like, say, remove her hood, and then the character whose point of view it actually is stopped cold because, wow, she's pretty. And of course I don't use wow, she's pretty, I use other words, but that's basically...
Sounds like our number one host has returned to the stream.
Yay!
Hello. Hello.
But tish.
Yeah. Yep.
You're doing a different kind of streaming there, I think.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
We're just gonna make Niagara Falls jokes until I can take a break.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. It was a very... Well, like, it's either yellow or clear, depending on when it happened. How much water you drink. Right now, my Gatorade is now down to a third.
Speaking of things that don't flow too well, back to this book.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my god, the word choice is just so awkward.
Yeah. Yeah, imagine me having to read it. Like, I think I'm trying. Like, I think that I'm reading it relatively clearly without like too many stumbles, but it's just like, wow, this is so much
Why do you use that word? Is that word even the right word for the context? Ugh.
The ambiguous dun has returned. I think At least this has been like a relatively funny stream, I would have to say.
Well, at least we get to laugh at how stupid he is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this man is not very intelligent, and we
No.
have broken down a lot of reasons why he is not. He has a very good vocabulary. He doesn't use it very well, but he has
Yeah,
relatively good
you-
vocabulary.
You would think he'd be much more articulate with how large his vocabulary seems to be, but he is not. He really is not. No.
Yep. Also, like he has such long paragraphs. It's really annoying. Yeah.
Forget long paragraphs. He has run-on sentences up the wazoo.
He's
Yeah.
like the guy with like 50 miniature screwdrivers, and he uses them to assemble IKEA furniture.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good God.
Use the tool for the right job. Don't use the fancy one just because you have to.
No, don't use the fancy one just because you want to. Use the tools that you were given. Don't go into your toolbox to pick out a mini screwdriver when the screwdriver that came with the kit will work just fine.
Mm-hmm. What the foregoing suggests, in fact, is that it is futile to attempt any exploration of the love-hate paradox that exists that depends on establishing an opposition between the fantastic, a film's putatively pure qualities, and the real, the film's embeddedness.
What pure qualities?
Putatively.
Spell?
Please?
Well, putative, I believe it's like impugning or
Oh, punitive.
putative, yeah.
Putative. P-U-T-I-T-I-V-E?
P-U-T-A-T-I-V-E-L-Y.
Generally considered or reputed to be. What the fuck?
So basically, it's supposed purity.
It's like going at a fly with an RPG. Yeah. Basically.
Or going at a tank with a 22. Either way.
No, not going at a tank with a 22. Going at a tank with a paintball gun.
Going at a tank with an airsoft.
Yes. And I chose paintball gun because BB guns would at least dent the armor. Paintball guns.
The paint.
I think
Paintball.
Shiny's currently asking if he can come on.
Oh!
Yes,
I
please.
think, well, at least
Yes,
he's
please.
saying, yeah. He asked, "What are you covering live?" And I said, "I'm reading the Saurians." Yeah, he's like,
Yes.
"What are you covering live?" I'm reading the Saurian Cinema Jurassic Park book. Oh, is that the one that thought that it was monstrous chance and enderism? Mind if I
Yes.
hop on?
Yes, please bring him on.
Okay, Shiny.
A study of how monsters are metaphorical penises? Mind if I hop on?
Alrighty. Well, this should be fun, to say the least.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, it's... Alrighty.
Looks like we got ourselves a batch of shinies, Commander. Your armor, it's shiny and new, just like you.
I remember the video we had to fucking cover on the podcast that was
Oh yay,
that
you're still
abomination.
evil, Shiny.
Yeah, so Shiny's like, let Shiny talk.
Yeah, sorry.
It's fine. Yeah, it was such a weird thing to cover on the Smudcast. Like someone trying to support and defend, so like supporting this idea and the way they're viewing the film, while also trying to defend the film without directly defending the film, and while bringing up this book.
Mm-hmm. And we're just so we've been streaming for 2 hours, and we're only on page 7.
Let the good times roll.
Yes.
Yep. And the introduction is 20 pages.
Well. So,
Well-
could you summarize what you've gone over so far?
It's basically everything is racist, everything is political.
So,
And it's like if you say it's not political, it's really just a strategy to hide your actual political motivation.
What?
And there's no way around it.
I'm not quite sure how to take that.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was there.
Actively
You can
not
back up the
political.
screen.
It's actively not political. And that's if you're not trying to be political, that's a way of hiding your political intentions. Or if you say it's not political.
He's basically arguing that timeless movies are not timeless.
And I'm just sitting here saying that I didn't even like Kong that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mind if I go?
No, Shiny, please stay.
You gotta hear at least like
You caught secondhand stupid. Just wait till you see it firsthand.
Yes.
But do I really want to experience it firsthand? We just covered
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. It's hilarious.
Give it a sentence.
okay.
And make your decision.
So okay, so rather I would argue an analysis of the love-hate question must start from the premise that one should not separate what one loves in fantasy films from what is hateful. Quite the contrary. One must view the lovable fantasy and the hateful reality as interrelated and mutually sustaining, such that the fantasy of a movie like Kong is integral to the racial discourse, and the racial discourse is integral to the fantasy.
What? That just flew right over my head.
Basically,
Yeah,
you
I'm
can't.
only able to get through this far because I swallowed a thesaurus as a child.
Have I been drinking too much? I don't know. Maybe that lower decks video.
I'm
just
either
drank
drinking
much
too
rum.
much or not enough.
Yeah, I would say that's the appropriate reaction to have from that sentence.
That technically it was 2 sentences, but yes.
Run-on sentence.
Yeah, if I wanted to be cruel, I'd say stick around for a paragraph and see how you feel.
Yeah, considering like this is a paragraph.
Oh god.
Yeah, wall of text.
Yeah, it's usually like 1 to 2 1 to 3, somewhere between 1 to 3 paragraphs per page.
And the man sounds Russian.
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah. Even to phrase it in these terms is to suggest a division between the fantasy and the discourse that I find problematic. The love-hate
not that word.
It's problematic. You can use it to chop potatoes.
Yeah, the love-hate paradox, according to this line of reasoning, is far from incidental or whimsical. Rather, according to this line of reasoning, fantasy films function precisely to enable the paradox of loving what under other circumstances might recognize to be hateful. Like all commercial narrative films, but particularly in potent ways due to the apparent unreality of their far-fetched stories and virtuoso effects, fantasy films enable ugly wishes, beliefs, and fears to take their most naked, extreme, but at the same time seemingly pure, and therefore presumably harmless, forms.
Yeah, no. No.
Yeah.
No.
So basically,
So
he's saying,
essentially, I'm going to distract you from the racism with shinies. Not shiny shinies.
That's offensive.
Shiny like crows shinies, not shiny like shiny shiny.
Yeah. So, Shiny, what do you think so far?
I don't think I am thinking right now. I'm thinking, why the hell have I got a copyright strike on my latest video? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that sucks.
Oh no, not again.
Yeah, I may as well just. What is it this time? Last time it was, what was it, 18 seconds of footage it found. This time, it's 20, and it's the part of the opening.
It's.
What was it?
It's so that sucks, dude. People
Yeah.
are. People
the copyright it's just found is us talking over when the captain says, "Oh, I need a new thing to say." Well, it's warp time, and then we just say, "What the fuck did you just listen to?" And that's what it is copyrighted. Well done.
You can say, yeah, just kind of, like fair use.
I'm just disputing it, yeah, because that is fair use. We're actively talking over it.
Yeah, and if somebody tries to copyright strike this one, I'm going to say fair use suckers.
Yeah, because we're not just reading it. If Dunn was just
you don't have
reading it,
anything
we'd
to
be
copyright
silent.
exactly, because you don't have any video or auditory things for them to find.
Yeah.
Though it's funny how this video was completely fine for like what was it, 4 hours? Like I had to constantly keep re-uploading it because it would constantly find like this 12 seconds. Okay, I would then cut down that 12 seconds, and then it would find another one, and I'd cut it down. And I did that with the first video as well. But then after a full day, all of a sudden the video just got taken down out of the blue.
Yeah, I remember that. I watched that first one.
Yep.
And I was cringing the entire time with you. And I'm not a Trekkie.
I think
if a non-Trekkie is cringing, then you've done it wrong.
Well, I think you can probably identify with the pain of seeing a franchise you care about and have loved for a very long time just going down the fucking drain.
I think going down the drain is too kind and generous a term. I was thinking sodomized with a chainsaw.
Yes.
Repeatedly. Alrighty.
That works too.
As Eric Green phrases this argument, one of the characteristics of fiction is the ability to extract controversial problems from their social circumstances and reinscribe them onto fictional, even outlandish contexts. The acceptability of introducing new worlds and even new forms of life in science fiction and fantasy may make these genres especially flexible in this regard. Difficult issues can be located safely distant, even light years away, from the real ground of conflict, and thereby rendering less obvious and less psychologically or politically threatening. Science fiction's distance proves deniability for both the filmmakers and the audience.
Oh, good God, no.
That doesn't even actually work. It's like, try writing a story in North Korea that's critical of Kim Jong-un. He'll figure it out.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if you use analog.
Yeah.
He'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm. And most of the people I give gruesome deaths to that are like actual people are not political figures. They are either YouTubers or filmmakers. In her analysis of the racial context of Bride of Frankenstein, like Kong, one of the most enduring of classic monster movies, Elizabeth Young advances a similar argument.
Wait, Bride of Frankenstein is one of the most enduring monster movies.
Yeah, also apparently it has... Yeah, and apparently it has, enduring of classic monster movies. And it's...
No, I mean, I've heard of Bride of Frankenstein, but I don't hear people talking about it
It's supposedly one of the
Normally.
it's one of the best sequels that exists, and kind of shot up like shot the original Universal Monsters cinematic universe up. Yep. So, in the logic of racial representation, the very explicitness of the image of the black rapist, I mean.
What? Sorry, but back up for a second.
Okay, so in relation to Bride of Frankenstein, Elizabeth Young is saying, in the logic of racial representation, the very explicitness of the image of the black rapist seems enabled by the film's extreme distance from
What
the
film is
minimus.
this?
Bride of
Frankenstein.
Sorry?
Sorry, Shiny.
I don't pretend to have seen any Frankenstein films, but
I haven't either.
what?
I read the book.
I read the illustrated classics version of the book. Yeah.
I haven't even read that.
And that's not even that's not even the end of it.
So what's the reasoning behind this?
Okay, so
is Frankenstein black? I'm pretty sure it's green.
I don't. Okay, so
the monster, I should say. There.
Well, technically, he should be gray, considering he's made of corpses.
Yeah.
So, in the logic of racial representation, the very explicitness of the image of the black rapist seems enabled by the film's extreme distance.
Does he rape anyone? I don't.
Well, he wants to have sex with the bride of Frankenstein that is made for him. So this is let me finish the. Okay. Yeah, let me finish the quote. Seems enabled by the film's extreme distance from the mimesis, or the mimesis.
Spell?
Mimesis. Its adherence to the safely non-realist fantasy of science fiction.
Okay, what the hell does that word mean?
Mimesis, representation or imitation of the real world in art and literature. It's related to the word mimicry, apparently.
Then why don't you just use representation?
Or mimicry.
Yeah, why?
Or imitation. Use
It's half the word mimicry anyway.
Would attempting to balance... Yeah. Yeah. It's weird, like, Shiny, guess when this book was released?
So
what year?
It has Jurassic Park in it, so I guess it would have to be later than that.
It also mentions Lord of the Rings and X-Men.
Okay. So maybe 2000?
2005, actually. Close, though.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, I think Nick Brown was earlier saying, I am surprised that this didn't come out in 2015.
No, he said 2020. I'm the one that said I would have been surprised had you not told us before, and I would have thought that it'd come out 2015 at the earliest.
Yep.
Because it certainly sounds like
something that would come out
modern day attitudes.
Yep. So, here we go. Wood, attempting to balance the social and psychological aspects of his analysis, dubbed such films collective nightmares. I would prefer to call them dominant social fantasies, alternate yet intimate realities that serve definite and definable functions within the historical/cultural grounds from which they spring. The real fantasy film then represents the culture's real in a particularly emphatic, if ironic sense, for a social real according to which certain individuals and groups pose monstrous threats to the norm is, in reality, a fantasy. Basically, what he is saying that social real, according to certain individuals, individuals and groups pose monstrous threats to the norm. Like basically, like saying that, like we know that, like the fact that individuals and groups pose threats to society, to the norm of society, is a fantasy. But like, it's really, really weird what he's saying.
Oh my god, this is so stupid.
You can see why I wanted to read this.
Yes, the purple prose is making me go insane.
Mm-hmm. But if this is so, one further point must be made. For the real of the dominant social imagination does not exist before film, to which then gives birth, the dominant social imagination is itself constituted, in part through artistic conventions and productions, including those of film. Thus, to say that fantasy films are social constructs is not solely to say that they are constructed by their social constructs.
No.
I'm trying to think what's more painful, reading Aftermath or listening to this. Because Aftermath is very painful to read, especially when it's like written in such a way that feels like it's written by a fucking 6-year-old.
Well, this feels like it was written by a 13-year-old who was looking through the dictionary.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when they had the old features of Microsoft Word of highlight, right-click, find synonyms, and then you just pick the biggest word in there.
So
I don't know. Maybe Bill Boss has a similar strategy of just using the biggest words he could find.
Also,
yes.
So for context, the guy who wrote this so at the time of this book's release, this guy was about 50 years old. So this falls into the category of when Brie Larson said, "I do not want to hear what a 50-year-old white dude has to say about race." 40-year-old man.
It was specifically. It's not about race. She didn't want to hear what a 40-year-old white dude had to say about A Wrinkle in Time. It wasn't made for him.
Yeah. My thought with that one, black people deserve better.
One thing I have found, especially when it comes to elderly, is that it's kind of a what's the way that's what to describe it. Their beliefs can be. It's a multiplying factor when you get older because you're just kind of reaffirmed in the same beliefs, and it's kind of slowly getting more extreme and more extreme, which is why you can find like either really racist old people or like really overly progressive old people, and I've had my fair share of both because it's kind of just they've believed this thing for all their life, so they're very affirmed and extreme in what they believe.
Yeah, they're deeply entrenched.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like existing in a bubble your entire life, and you're in one bubble of this one belief that you only ever talk to people about.
Does that mean Movie Bob as a 60-year-old is going to be an even bigger fascist?
No, oh my god, yeah. I don't want to imagine what an old Movie Bob is. If he fucking gets there, I can imagine him getting.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Certain health issues to do with a lot of disproportionate mass.
Yeah, he's probably going to have a heart attack.
And if the gravitational singularity doesn't collapse in first.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining that joke from Family Guy where Brian's like, Peter, you have your own fucking gravitational pull, and he starts just throwing household objects and throws them around.
Alrighty. Let's keep going. It is at the same time to say that they are constructive of their social context, that they both produce and reproduce social discourse and practice. Such an assertion moves one beyond the static and outmoded notion that art reflects cultural systems passively to a dynamic view of art and cultural systems reciprocally and actively shaping and determining one another.
No.
Like, I think we heard a lot of this on the Jurassic Park one, where he's thinking, oh, this is like anti-women because the females of all of the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park are women, and they're attacking the patriarchal
I think that was
family.
him quoting this.
Yes,
'Cause a lot of
yes,
the time he's
yes,
quoting
that was a quote
this,
from this.
and
Yeah.
he's saying that actually you can look at it this way, but you could also look at it in this other way.
Yep.
So have you gotten to the part where they fucking talk about belts and like he puts the male belt
So-
to the male input to the male input and ties it around, which is affirming his masculinity.
So, Dragonlord is chapter 4, and that's page 106. We are on page 8.
Oh god.
Yes.
In total, the book is 200 pages long.
And why
I can
didn't
see how it got to that length.
How about done? Make a video about this book. How about that?
No, I'm reading this on
Summarize
stream.
it. You
No,
can
I'm going.
summarize it all down.
No, I'm going to read this
You're
entire
in
book.
the video.
No. All I meant was read the book, then tell us about the book in a video. How about that? And then we don't have to listen to this fucking rampant stupidity.
But
If he reads
that's
it, you'll
what he
still
is
have to listen to the stupid.
Yeah, but then it's kind of like a refined stupid. It's like you don't have to. It's like, would you prefer maybe 5-10 minutes of translated stupid that's kind of being refined down to the highlights, or would you prefer to spend like 30 hours of just constant stupid?
Yeah,
so it's like the Chinese water torture version of stupid.
You can't win with these people because if all the dinosaurs were male, he'd still argue that it was sexist.
Yeah, I can imagine it was the superiority of masculinity, and the dinosaurs represent masculinity. And
The female dinosaur killed the black Samuel L. Jackson character. This symbolizes the Klan's accusation towards black men.
And yet, he completely ignores that it was only the predators that were kept locked up.
Honestly, I think that like people would not really
I think to an
totally.
extent all the dinosaurs were locked up. It's just that the
Yeah.
herbivores had these huge paddocks that were very expansive on the island and let the herbivores live together because they weren't going to harm each other.
Yeah.
Oh, I just noticed something on the
You know,
other
the T-Rex
page.
had a paddock, but it was much more contained. It was only in a specific area.
I just noticed. I just saw a quote on the next page that I'm actually really excited for you guys to react to.
Okay. Let's get there.
Alrighty, so it might be a while considering like we're having to deconstruct every single sentence of this crap.
I'm not even sure there is much to deconstruct in these sentences.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
more
like-
translation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's like, and also
translating
it's
the
like,
stupid.
yeah, I think that part of it is just like if I were to make like a review of how dumb this book is, like even if it was like 30 minutes long, I don't know how many people would actually believe me. It's like, no, this book can't be that
You can
stupid.
reference the book. Like you can
I-
actually quote and reference it.
But
Which
every
we have
single
the other
sentence,
book we
every
did.
every single sentence in this book is terrible.
Then quote it and show people how fucking terrible it is.
Well,
There
partially,
is
I
quite a
want.
market out there on YouTube for people who point out stupid things.
Yeah, I know, but we are doing exactly that. It's just very long.
Yeah, but the
form.
thing is about when it comes to live streams, the only people who are watching it are people who are actively subscribed to you. It's very difficult to grow your audience just through
True.
live streams on YouTube. Like, it
Yeah.
works on Twitch, but not on YouTube. They don't like
Yeah.
that. They can't monetize their streams.
Yeah, I'll have to like give my thoughts. I'll give my thoughts at the end, but this is kind of just like so that nobody else has to buy this book.
I don't think anyone else was going to buy this book.
Well, at least so that people have like a free digestible like version of the book.
I don't know. I don't think there's any way you can make this book digestible.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, the
that's
only way-
interesting. I'm
the
looking
only
at
way
it
you
on
would be able
Amazon.
Huh?
I would
I'm
prefer to
looking
read
at this thing on
movie books, but
Amazon.
Okay.
The only way you'd be able to make this more digestible is if you cut out all the purple prose and made it plain speech.
it's like having a plate of just rotten meat. The only thing you can really do is just throw it out the window.
Mm-hmm. And he threw it out the window, the second story window, with a heave and a hoe and a mighty throw, and he threw it out the window.
I don't even remember where that's from.
It's a scout camp song.
So
Oh,
it was demonstrated.
yes.
Yep.
Not out the second story window, though. Out of the, let's see, 119th window.
Alrighty. So, such an assertion.
Here's the thing:
of
this
it-
fucking book guy is stupid.
Yes.
He's trying to sound smart by using a
Yeah.
huge vocabulary, but it's not working.
Mm-hmm. In this respect, however tempting it might be to argue that the relationship between fantasy films and social reality is an inverse one, to say that is that fantasy films distort or misrepresent social reality, such a position is ultimately no more tenable than the blunt separation of fantasy and reality.
What? Was that the stupid line?
No, the stupid line is like the bottom of page 9. We're at the beginning of page 9.
Oh,
Okay, we're
jeez,
almost
what the
there.
hell?
Good God.
Accordingly, the verb I would use to describe the ways in which fantasy films relate to social reality, a verb that has given me the title for the study, is that fantasy films frame social reality. They provoke a perspective.
Okay.
Provide a
Okay, I'm sorry. I have to stop you. Because what the hell does that even mean?
I don't want to know what the verb he uses. I want to know what a normal person's verb would be.
So he's saying that, like, the title, basically, the fantasy films frame social reality in some way. Like, they have, and like they they provoke a perspective, provide a context, and produce a way of seeing.
What
That's
does
pretty dark.
social
For the
reality
purposes
even
of
mean?
telling their story. It's basically fantasy works, establish setting. That's it.
Oh, man.
As such, the films function as mass cultural rituals that give image to historically determinate anxieties, wishes, and needs. They simultaneously function by stimulating, endorsing, and broadcasting the very anxieties, wishes, and needs to which they give image. It becomes the purpose of this study, then, to make visible these
Wait,
interrelations.
becomes a ritual?
Yeah, guess what else you think is a ritual? Shooting King Kong with machine guns from airplanes. That's apparently a ritual. Go back in the stream. I swear to God it's there.
I don't think I want to go back. Let's be honest with you.
I don't blame you.
Mm-hmm. I think I might be able to find that quote.
Just keep going.
Okay. So it becomes the purpose of this study then to make visible the interrelations between cultural belief and cinematic practice, to uncover the processes by which historically conditioned social fantasy and historically conditioned monstrous antagonists generally mutually generate and reinforce one another. The reader who has followed this discussion this far will, I hope, grant the general point that a relationship exists between fantasy film and social reality, and that it is, accordingly, impossible to separate the fantasy one loves from the reality, however hateful, of which one is a part.
What? What does hate have to do with it?
Basically, like the racism that King Kong is basically a black man wanting to rape a white woman.
We know, Shiny. We know.
I don't. I don't think that's gonna work. I think he's probably far too big for her. I don't know, unless he's got a very tiny PP.
It's symbolic. It's symbolic, Shiny. It's metaphorical.
Metaphorical rape.
Ambiguously brown Kong.
Yeah, Shiny. It is. I think somebody needs to make a meme of ambiguously brown women as a meme.
Yeah, or something like that.
I'm still getting over what was it? The rancor of progressivism.
That was the best.
Yeah.
I thought of another one earlier, but it's kind of out there.
We still haven't finished that podcast. We still haven't finished it. We still have.
And I never
minutes.
will. I refuse to.
You'll do what I tell you to do, JK. You can. Just kidding. I'm a benevolent and kind dictator.
You're a spiteful fucking god.
Yes, I am. I am. Yet, to move beyond this general point, the analysis of the specific ways in which fantasy films sustain and seek to manage the love-hate paradox, it is necessary to subject my initial premise to closer scrutiny. For to insist that fantasy films articulate and validate the social fantasies of their time and place does not necessarily warrant my contention that a particular set of discourses and practices, for example, those of racism, is formative to a particular film. For example, King Kong.
Formative to a film.
Yeah.
That's basically a fancy way of saying, I'm not saying King Kong is racist, but King Kong is racist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, it's just it is impossible to separate fantasy from reality.
I wonder how, knowing that Andy Serkis plays King Kong in Peter Jackson's film is white. I wonder how that would impact his mindset.
Well, it goes either way. Either King Kong was played by a white actor, so it stole the role from a black actor, or it's played by a black actor and therefore it's racist. So it's basically impossible to please him.
You do realize there are people who I've heard arguments from people who believe that the original trilogy is racist because Vader is black when he's the antagonist, but when you take off the helmet, he becomes white. That's when he's good.
So stupid. That is so stupid.
I know.
I've heard that before.
I just... There are some people who just like to project any fucking shit onto anything these days.
Yeah.
And the problem is, this wasn't even these days. This is 2005.
It's people that start off at the conclusion. And so the conclusion is that it's racist or sexist in some way, shape, or form. And then they work backwards from that conclusion.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I don't think Ian Sarkeesian is a fucking worse. I mean, she was bad, but she wasn't fucking this batshit crazy. She was more manipulative bad more than batshit crazy bad.
Yeah.
Obviously, never happy with anything.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh yeah, I don't like Miss or Femshep is Miss Male character to her. So they can't be feminine, they can't be masculine. So, well, Rey is perfect for her because Rey is a blank slate.
Yeah, she's very androgynous in many respects.
Yeah, these people are not happy unless there's something to complain about. That's just how it is, apparently.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Many arguments could be leveled against such a contention, but two in particular strike me as pertinent. The first would be that since fantasy films do not relate in any obvious way to their social realities, it is possible to find virtually any meaning one likes in them. Exactly. You're developing.
Why are we still here just to suffer?
Yeah. You're developing. Great. Like virtually any meaning. Yes. You can pretty much find any meaning in anything. Doesn't even
Yes,
need
if
to
you
be...
project hard enough, you can.
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
Just project until your dreams come true.
Yep. The second, to some extent dependent on the first, would be that since fantasy films are so semantically open and hence liable to misreading, a critical act involves wading through a host of possible interpretations to arrive at the precise interpretation intended by the film's creators. Watch the commentary if you want that.
Or read the commentary. Ask them.
Yeah. Just ask them.
I really don't think what's his name? The Steven Spielberg did things like Jurassic Park had that much of a grand political vision of like what it meant. I really don't think he was thinking, well, I'm gonna make a film about rampant monstrous transgenderism.
Just wait, we're going to get there in a month or two.
What, monstrous transgenderism? I'm pretty sure I just watched a monstrous transgender person on the fucking stream. We're already there.
Yeah. Alrighty. The former argument, one might call the argument of polysemy, is expressed by Noel Carroll. King Kong abounds with
What was that called?
Polysemy.
Spell, please.
PolySemy.
Polysemy, by the way.
Polysemy.
The coexistence of many possible meanings for a word or a phrase.
You could have just said various interpretations.
And Nick Brown, the man of renown, yes, this is much better than having to listen to that Lower Decks fucking review, or Lower Decks itself, because the review that we were listening to was so fucking nebulous. Like, it just, Lower Decks is so efficient because it sets up all its characters in 20 minutes. It took The Next Generation a 2-hour episode to establish all its characters. You're forgetting that, you know, the first episode had fucking plot, and you also had multiple characters, which in fucking Lower Decks, it has, what was it, 3 characters, all with 1 character, 4 characters, and they all have 1 character trait each. Like, one of them's excitable, one of them's right all the time, one of them's wrong all the time, one of them's a cyborg. That's their entire character. Well done, you established them. And they're so well established, and you understand them so much that this lady even forgot one of the characters' names.
Here's the quote I was telling you a little bit earlier. So, King Kong abounds with interpretations. These come in many shapes and sizes. Kong as Christ.
Because I read something like that and I think, Jesus Christ.
Good God,
Jesus.
no. Why?
Jesus. Titty fucking Christ.
There's more.
For God's sake.
It gets better. It gets fucking better. Okay.
Is the donkey the revolutionary again?
No,
Please
Kong.
tell me.
Kong is Christ. Kong is black. Kong as commodity.
Oh, God.
Kong as rapist.
Oh, good Lord.
Kong enraptured by l'amour foul. Kong as third. Probably just an alluring female. Caught by alluring. I don't know. Probably not, but I don't think so. Kong
I don't think so either.
as third
I don't
world.
think these days. Thinking is very counterproductive to your health when you're watching these things.
Well, Kong as third world. What do people think of that?
Third. What does that even mean?
Basically like India.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Or
third
just
world
like
country.
any country. So first world is a capitalist country or anything that isn't part of the wasn't part of like the Soviet Union, which was second world, and third world was anything that wasn't affiliated with either capitalism or communism.
King Kang.
Mm-hmm. Kong as dream. Kong as myth.
Wait.
Kong as
What?
dream?
Dream?
Mm-hmm. Kong as myth. Kong according to Freud. According
So Kong as penis, basically.
Kong according to Jung. And even according to Lacan. I've never heard of Lacan. I'll have to do some research.
Who the hell is that?
Probably some philosopher.
Oh God.
Kong according to Hideki Anno.
Part of the fascination of the film is its openness to interpretive play. The latter argument one might call from or intent appears in the following remarks from Orville Gardner and George E. Turner. Many writers have tried to justify the public's love affair with a gigantic, ugly ape by reading into the film a great deal more significance than was intended by its creators. Such notions are firmly denied by the persons within the film. King Kong is exactly what it was meant to be, a highly entertaining, shrewdly conceived work of pure cinema. Exactly.
Yes. You were supposed to be entertained.
I know where this is going.
It's basically, he's arguing that, no, you must interpret everything. You must look at it in everything. At every weird thing.
Kong is love. Kong is life.
Kong is ape. Kong is big. Kong is space. Kong is time.
Kong has big dick.
Kong is not. Kong could be.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, so basically what he's saying is that like this particular person, George E. Orwell Gardner is saying rather smartly that many writers are trying to say that people are reading way too much into it, and that people have a weird obsession with reading too much into it, and that it's not what they think it is. It's just a film.
I would qualify the author of this book as one of those people.
Yes, this, Mr. Bellin, this quote is a middle finger right smack dab right in the middle of one in your eye.
Yeah. So did he not realize that when he was putting this in his book?
I think that he is basically trying to refute that statement.
Yeah, that's where I thought this was going.
Good luck.
Yeah, that actually makes more sense than anything you were saying in this stupid book, Mr. Bellin.
Yeah, it's like the only time the work is followable is when he's quoting somebody else.
Yeah, because there's no purple prose to shift through.
Or at least less of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, so how do we want to do this? Do we want to try and finish the introduction, or shall we cut off it, try and find a stopping place to stop?
It's been 3 hours, almost.
Yeah. So, currently we're at the beginning of page 10.
So the thing that you were pointing out was Kong is Jesus? Was that the stupid?
Yes, that was the stupid. Yep. Rudy Belmer cites one such denial from a central figure in the film's creation. Director Marion C. Cooper became irate when we discussed those who attached symbolic overtones, phallic or otherwise, to various aspects of Kong. As far as he was concerned, yep.
Doing.
Yep. As far as he was concerned, there were no hidden meanings, psychological or cultural implications, profound parallels, or anything remotely resembling intellectual significance in the film. According to him, King Kong was escapist entertainment. Pure and simple.
Him being the director?
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
that solves it for me.
Well, in this case, I'm inclined to agree.
It gets better. It gets fucking better. Okay.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
By the terms of this argument, if one cannot prove that the makers of the film intended its racist intentions, and I freely admit that I cannot prove such an intention, much less prove that one existed despite the filmmakers' denials, the one must simply desist from all inquiry along these lines.
Good night, everybody.
And that being a bad thing.
Nick Brown, oh no.
It's Donkey Kong.
How are your brain cells doing, Shiny?
This silence is my answer.
They're dying pretty heavily.
I mean, if they ever existed, they're not there now.
Well,
saying Kong is Jesus implies that his death was a sacrifice for others. I don't think his death was a sacrifice.
But apparently it was a ritual.
Yeah.
I am determined to crowbar something funny out of this if I have to.
Okay, let's how about we do this? Let's cut off at the beginning of page 11 after I read a quote, and that'll be the end of that. And then we'll keep going Wednesday and try and finish the introduction. Then we'll just do like maybe 10 pages of sitting, I think, or something like that.
So on Wednesday, we will return to Joshua Bellend.
Yep.
Yay.
You didn't put your heart into that one, man. Come on, sacrifice was for all of you.
For context, Shiny, Mr. David Benioff, the man who is making Game of Thrones, has an ambiguously brown woman fetish.
I know.
Oh. Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah. It's creepy.
Crow made a meme of it.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. The latter argument has been amply addressed in discussions of other film genres, and thus can be addressed very briefly here. In general, the argument against intentional analysis hinged on the lack of an authorial figure in film, since accepting the short works of such pioneers as Georges Méliès, himself an important figure in the popularization of fantasy film, commercial films are collaborative ventures. It is difficult to settle on an individual whose intentions one is to honor. But to the customary arguments against film auteurism, arguments ranging from the limitations on directorial control, excised by studio hierarchies, to the effects of the complex division of labor on the film project, I would add that anti-auteurist arguments are buttressed by the heightened significance of technical personnel in films of fantasy.
But
so, in other words, though the director might not be racist, somebody in his crew may have been. Even though the director's
someone may have tried to sneak some racism in there. We don't know how, but it's
or
possible.
what.
But it's there.
Mm-hmm. Kong provides an excellent example, since it relied heavily on the specialized knowledge of Willis O'Brien and his technical crew. The effects unit had at least as much to say in designing, shooting, and approving the picture as director Cooper. So basically, yes, he said that, and then he just said it straight out.
So the visual effects crew had say on the film because, and that might mean they snuck a racism in there.
Mm-hmm. Kong lore holds, in fact, that Cooper would shoot live-action sequences only after their animated portions have been completed. To uphold this argument, it may be noted as well that the signal to return to the language of purity contained in the notes above makes plain that the intentional argument is but another version of the retreat from history. So essentially, people who say that, like, cinema doesn't necessarily have, as some things don't have the intentionality that things does, is cowardice.
If it's not there, that means it's timeless, which means you can watch it any time. And the effects might be a bit dated, but the story will always work.
This is all sounding very 1%-y, sort of. Like, if even 1% of 1 iota of 1 person involved in this production had the slightest racist thought, that makes the whole thing contaminated.
I think what maybe the trans actually say is that someone snuck the racism under the radar.
Mm-hmm. Or was just, like, unintentionally influenced by the racism of the time.
So an entire time period is quarantined, essentially.
Maybe this is more speaking of the author than it is of the people making it. I don't think the people making it were thinking black people. I think they were thinking, okay, giant ape gorilla thing
is a black man.
It's kind of like the funny part of orcs is like, it's like, well, orcs are obviously meant to stand in for black people. It's like, wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Well,
and then World of Warcraft is going to be stopping their quotation marks race war with orcs and humans. Like, you realize there's black humans in World of Warcraft? It's a very diverse setting. They have fucking pandas.
Also,
oh yeah, that's not racist.
Nope.
Yeah, don't attack the pandas.
The martial arts pandas.
But the orcs, wow, that's just too far.
Yeah. Let's keep going. We're pretty close to finishing this section.
Mm-hmm.
But it's basically just like, return to the language of purity is cowardice. Basically, like, let film be film. If that is, one can ascribe Kong to a single inspired individual, its social relevance becomes subordinated to the quest for authorial commentary and attenuated by the reduction of cultural context to individual will.
What? Attenuated to cultural context of the individual will.
Yeah.
So essentially, it was subconsciously racist.
Yeah, or that it's like, it's ultimately just basically saying that, like, it's just the authorial intent and that's all that matters, and attenuated to the reduction of cultural context to the individual person's writing of it.
Mm-hmm. And, well, you will see certain things that would be deemed racist today, but in some older movies, but that doesn't mean that there is an agenda behind it. And it doesn't mean that they're intentionally being racist either.
Mm-hmm. But such a displacement of history by biography is itself fallacious. As Green points out, even if artists do not consciously attempt to make political statements, artists exist in a world of political and social relations. We can reasonably expect, therefore, that consciously or not, political realities, events, and themes will register in an artist's work. In fact, we should be shocked if a country's political conflicts and social biases do not find their way into its cultural productions.
So yeah, it is subconscious racism. What the hell?
And on that bombshell,
just because you've lived in that time.
And on that bombshell, we will conclude this dramatic reading of Framing Monsters, Fantasy Film and Social Alienation by Joshua David Bellend.
Call it Bellend. I think it's funnier.
Bellend, yeah. So, to my guests, what were your thoughts on the utter drivel and meaningless semen-spattered word salad that we were forced to consume?
Karking, finally.
Yes, once you parse through the stupid, it's basically everything we've heard before, but parsing through the stupid is what makes it extra challenging. It's kind of like the Dark Souls of EFAP.
Yep. So we are, for reference, we are 10 pages in. We are 5% finished with this book after 3 hours. And we might do this
we were wrong about an hour in when you said that it was going to take another 4 hours to get through it. It was not going to take another 4 hours. It's going to take at least another 3.
Yeah. Yeah. So, to my guess, would you like to do this once a week or twice a week?
Not at all.
0.
I bought this.
If I get a choice, then.
I bought this dang book. I am getting my mileage out of it. Gosh dang it!
Let's friggin' do it. I could use the practice in this solipsistic crap.
Alrighty, so
yes.
Alrighty, so we'll do our stream on
Magic Systems tomorrow, I believe it was.
Yep. And I will create the Prezi for that tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Friday, I have a writing tutoring appointment with Wise Wolf, which...
Friday, not Thursday?
Thursday, I'm sorry. And then Wednesday, we can read... We will try to finish the introduction. And we'll try to do 10 pages. We'll read 10 pages Mondays and Wednesdays until we finally finish with this thing.
Yeah, that's gonna take a while.
Yeah. But I have to say thank you to my guests, Shiny, Neff Champion, and Drake the Duelist. And now, I believe it is time, unfortunately, to tell my guests and my...
Shiny and I both have the same face.
To tell my guests and my stream and the audience and in the chat to
go. Holy shit! Okay, we're going.
Go shit.
5% for 3 hours. Yep.
Not bad at all.
Bye. Love you, best chat. You're great. You're all wonderful. I thank you so much for coming and enduring our suffering and listening to this complete moron blather his word salad all over the place.
And try to sound intelligent. Not that it works.
And failing. Alrighty. Everybody, see you later. Bye.
Bye, guys.